Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we want to have a conversation about the online space and online discipleship. The limits, the pros, the cons, how to use it wisely. We think there's a lot that we've watched and learned over the past several years that relate to it. And Lauren has obviously been in that space now for a little bit, and I'm slowly dipping my toe in the water with her as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of want to talk about what do we see as the great benefit here, but also what are some of the pitfalls that you can fall into when using some of these tools? Because I think you would say we've seen quite a bit of both in the past several years.
I would say 2020 was a big turning point for the online community. Would you say? Like with COVID hitting and everybody staying home and having to watch church online.
Or choosing to do so.
And then choosing to continue to do that indefinitely. So I think we have learned a lot, and a lot of people have seen a lot. And simultaneously, there's been, I just think, an influx of information in new ways too, with AI and.
It's true.
Anyway, online, we're more connected now than ever, and it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So, which you would say I think we would say that there are pros. Definitely.
Absolutely.
Pros.
We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't think there was very fruitful things to do.
Yeah.
Online and fruitful ways to use online tools. And I would say in general, I think about, connectivity that we have as this incredible tool and gift that in God's providence we've been allowed to have. And just like anything big and significant like that, you want to learn to use it with wisdom, how to use it, how to avoid the pitfalls, how to use it fruitfully. We would say the same thing about some of the bigger categories of these things in the Bible, like money, sex, power. The Proverbs talk about those over and over again so that we can learn how to use them with wisdom and use them rightly and fruitfully. And I just kind of feel the same way about all the connectivity that we have, all the access to information. I love the fact that I can do a deep dive on anything that I want to. I can go online and find all the information there is to know about a topic. I love that.
You're very selective on what you do that with, but when you do, you are a deep diver.
Yeah, I narrow and deep on that. And that's not something we could do even when I was born. You'd have to go to the library, which is still great. Going to the library is still great for people who still enjoy going to a physical space and pulling encyclopedias off the shelf. There's benefits to that. But the fact that I can just do that and the level of access to information to be used in a good way has grown so much. I love. But like you said, we've seen a lot of pitfalls with it too in recent years. And so it's good to talk about the limits along with the pros, or even the cons along with the pros of what we're doing.
So what would you say some of the limits are with the online space?
I would say the limits would kind of fall, in my mind, in the same category of everything that you can't do because you're not in person with someone. We were made to be in community with other people, to be open and known in those relationships, to be accountable in those relationships, to love people in the flesh, to love our neighbors that are, right next to us and near to us, and not people that we have incredible like-mindedness with that are far away all the time. When you get into online communities, let's say, for instance, you can really eliminate a lot of what the Lord's design was in community. There's this great book title called Relationships, A Mess Worth Making. And it's all about how all relationships are messy. Everybody's sinful. Everyone's a sinner. And you got to work through those things with people. And that's how you're sanctified and you grow in holiness and meekness and loveliness as a person. There's so much of that is lost if the online part of your community replaces or starts to push out the in-person part of how you're living with people.
Yeah, because also there are keyboard warriors. So what I mean by that is you get in the online space, people disagree, and all they do is drop a bomb and walk away. There's no lovingly working things out together and iron sharpening iron. There's a offense, you're different from me, and then bam, explosion, and people are just being brutal to each other. There's no personal growth in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, honestly, I think that sears the conscience when people just kind of give into that temptation to drop it and walk away.
There's no self-control required.
No,
There's no
because you're behind a screen.
there's no consequences for you acting a fool.
Yeah.
You just walk away.
You just walk away. Yeah. And yeah. So, and like you said, the lack on the positive side, if you're in a niche young community, which I think could be really beneficial because you're among people who are kind of walking through a similar thing as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there are differences in people naturally because we're all different people. But yeah, you lose the humanity part of it
Very
too.
easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not difficult conversations that you're necessarily having.
Yeah. So maybe with what you're saying and what I've said, I could frame it this way. If you have a specific thing, like you're a mom with a household that you're trying to run,
Mm-hmm.
and you have, there's some women in the church that you can learn from, but there's also an online community just
Mm-hmm.
filled with moms swapping ideas, sharing ideas, their wisdom, telling stories of what they've done that you can pull from. That's a wonderful resource.
Yeah.
But you don't consider that as part of your actual church community, part of not to say you can't develop friendships with those people.
Right. You can develop great friendships.
And you can have a great network of friendships spanning the country or the world because of this connectivity. But it is different when you're not in the flesh in your local church.
Totally.
And those things should be kept separate to a certain amount in your mind.
Yeah. Well, we've seen people who, I think that the limits there, while they can be so beneficial, you can build each other up, you can get great ideas. I have been discipled through books. People have been discipled through books. I mean, I think that's a similar thing for generations. They're a good gift, but
Sure.
what's missing there is I think the problem with that and with what's missing there, the in-person dynamic, is that people are not seeing, they're only seeing your good ideas. Or they're only seeing what you choose to speak about your struggles in your filtered way. People are not seeing you in raw, real life.
You're not known.
You're not known. You're not seeing your pitfalls, like the way that you disrespect your husband or undermine your husband is not seen. There's not, or if you are snappy at your children, nobody's going to be able to watch you do that and ask about that if you're in a loving relationship where there's some relational equity. Obviously, we don't pick at each other every time they do something wrong. That'd be exhausting.
Yeah.
But
you let the paper cuts go.
Yeah, you let the paper cuts go, but people don't see patterns of, you can't really grow whenever you don't have that in person. We've grown so much. We've grown so much from having people that we love and know and who love and know us that we've walked with day in, day out. And we ask them questions, we share our struggles, and they're able to speak to that, or we watch them walk something out in a way that we might not naturally, and they're strong in places that we're weak. So then we see that and we want to learn from them. We go ask them about it. There's iron sharpening iron, and that can only happen when you're together. Like iron doesn't sharpen from afar.
Yeah. So as you're talking and making these points, I guess how I'm thinking of it is there, like what you just said, we could almost have just as long a rabbit trail on 20 different topics as to what the online discipleship or community space cannot provide you.
Yeah.
That in-person does.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's just the whole life, being known, being in each other's homes, hospitality, doing life together, developing those wonderful friendships with people, struggling through friendships sometimes, or going through struggles with your friend. Like all these things happen in real life, and you really shortchange yourself if that's not your first pursuit.
Yeah.
If your first thought is to go to online, to go to an online community, to go to those friends like that, I would say that that's an impoverished way of doing life.
Yeah. Yes. And I do think for moms in particular, in our day and age, it can be very lonely
Hmm.
for some people. And so I can see I think that's where online communities can be beneficial because we are so, in our culture, we're all in our own little silos,
Hmm.
like,
We all go home to our own little kingdom
yeah,
of a quarter acre and
yeah.
shut the blinds.
Whereas across the world, even now, but historically, people lived in closer knit communities where that was women were able to learn from other women. It was easier.
It's more of a village
Yeah,
living situation.
yeah. But now it's a lot harder for that to happen. So in some sense, I think I can understand the pull to something like an online community. And those are, again, obviously I have one. And so I think that there's a great benefit to them. But I think that if you scratch that itch with only the online community, then you're missing out on an opportunity. Like when we're hungry, if we go to the pantry and grab a bag of potato chips to fill our hunger, then
It's not going to really feel the
it's
hunger.
not nourishing us.
Yeah.
Or if we eat a granola bar. But if we, there's a place for granola bars and they are helpful, but there's nothing like sitting down and having a steak dinner,
Right.
or having a good home cooked meal. So
Sure.
I think that I was gonna go somewhere. Oh yeah, when you're hungry, let that fuel you to go cook a good meal, Or so basically in the relational sense, sometimes I think women can be so focused on, I don't have enough friends or I don't have this, rather than learning to flip that around and say, be a good friend, find opportunities to be a good friend, open up your home to women, invite people in other families into your home. We love doing family on family. We love having people
Hmm.
into our home together, but I think there also is a place for having another young mom over with her kids over to have a play date while you talk with mom, if that works for your schedule.
Yeah. But overall, you're saying pursue
Pursue in person.
in-person relationship,
Yeah.
pursue the church community that
Mhm.
you're a part of. Um, don't reach for the easy and quick to fill the need.
Yeah.
Because the other thing about in-person relationships is they take time. Just like a good dinner takes time
Yeah.
to cook, it takes time not only to be spending time with the person, but also like real relationships develop over seasons.
Yeah.
And so if you're quickly reaching for online satisfaction for community, you're really missing out on the depth of putting roots down with other people
Mhm.
in real life.
Mhm.
And that can be a unique temptation because, like you said, we're in a different day and age. Women are living in village settings, or the family is more integrated, so that the wife is a part of the family business and what's going on. They're doing things together and involved in the community. There's so many things that are isolating about our culture.
Mhm.
It's very normal to want to reach for an online fix, but you should resist that urge and you should pursue finding a wonderful local church that's like-minded with you, that has people in it that are well discipled, that have been walking with the Lord for decades,
Yeah.
that you can walk with.
Yeah. Yes. And to that point, could we talk about like, when you have a course in community like Rooted Rhythms, it's solving a problem. So people come to that with a problem and they're hoping that something like this will solve it. And that's the goal of it, is to help
Hmm.
give you skills and help you walk out things in your home to bring more order and peace into your home.
Hmm.
But I kind of want to speak to the limits of that specifically
Sure.
too. So specifically with this course, there's an element of, people come to it to solve a problem, but I think that it's important to specify that this is not the end all be all. Like,
Right.
courses and communities like this can be a wonderful tool. And that's why I spent the time, and that's why we invested as much as we have to like build it to be a helpful tool. But it cannot stand alone apart from being plugged in with people. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
No, I agree. I think it goes back to what we've been saying up until now. Like a course like what Lauren has created is incredibly helpful and beneficial, or what you've created is very helpful and beneficial for a unique season of life that many women are in. And they benefit greatly from getting the tools and resources and mindsets. And there's so many things in life that we don't need counseling. We just need coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not, there's not nothing broken, just no one's ever showed you how to do it before.
Right.
So you need a coach to help set you up for success. And that's
Right.
what your aim is to
Mhm.
help set women up for success in the home, to have joyful, wonderful, well-managed homes. Not perfect, but by God's grace, well-managed and organized and warm and fruitful. That's what you're aiming to help provide in a specific set of tools. But it's not going to help the woman who's not pursuing whole life sanctification and
Right.
who doesn't have a context for doing that.
Right.
It doesn't help someone who's not repenting of their sin. It's
Mhm.
not going to help someone who's not in uh, an environment that they're lacking the other pieces they need to grow
Yeah.
that the online course cannot provide. And there are a lot of those pieces
Mhm.
that need to be in place in your life
Mhm.
for you to experience full life growth. And then this course can really help you in this particular area, really coach you in this particular area for success.
Yeah.
And it's glorious when you have success in the home. And it's
Yeah.
very much worth the time and investment to go through it. And we believe it is because of the incredible fruit that you get
Yes.
when your home is run well and managed well. But that's not going to happen, generally speaking, with a mom and wife who's drifting in the wind spiritually otherwise,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Apart from abiding, like we always say, that fruitfulness doesn't happen apart from abiding. And part of abiding in Christ is
Being with his bride, being in
loving
his
him
church.
and obeying him. And yes, being with his bride. And part of that is being with his bride.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, for me, the systems that like learning how to do these things, and once they locked into place, it was life altering. Like it was such a blessing to our home, and it still is. And I'm still growing and learning, but that would not have happened if it wasn't paired with repentance
Mm-hmm.
and
Humility.
humility and walking with people and learning from people. Like that is just very important. Women who come to something like this without, like you said, having a box for who are not pursuing whole life sanctification, who are not seeking the Lord and repenting, it's not gonna work.
No.
So,
It might put a veneer on of
right.
things being more orderly, but it's not going to lead to the fruitful life that walking with the Lord does,
Yeah.
first and foremost.
Yeah.
So we want to grow in wisdom as Christians, and we can go to people with wisdom and humbly learn from them. And that's maybe another way of thinking of what your course provides. Like you've wrestled through this, struggled through this as we've added so many children so quickly in unique circumstances. These are things that you learned searching out, trial by fire. You've gained wisdom that has not come cheaply, I would say,
Yeah.
that you've tried to now provide to other women. But it is to one particular area, and it is to help them in this particular area. But it's not unto fixing their whole life.
Right.
It's not a one-shot solution to get your whole life together.
Right.
And no one can do that. No one can carry that weight.
No. That's good.
So having gone through some of that, let's transition to, we've already talked about it some, but obviously you got a bee in your bonnet, for lack of a better term, to be able to teach this kind of thing to women.
Mm-hmm.
And we felt like it would be very valuable to women who could learn it. And we chose this particular format to share it with women. So obviously we think there's great benefit if we took the time and let you have the time to build something like this.
Yeah.
So what we want to talk about, what are like the proper and wonderful uses of something like this. We've already talked about it some,
Yeah.
but when I say like what are the great and beneficial uses of this course, what do you think of?
I mean, there's, like we said earlier, there's a lot of free stuff out there, and I put a ton of free content out there. I do not hold it back on YouTube all the time that I'm going to indefinitely, as far as I know, as
Hmm.
long as the Lord allows, that's what I plan to do. But the thing that I was excited to do, I was excited about this particular method because it was all going to be able to be packaged together. And I don't have time to write a book or nor the desire to write a book right now, maybe one day. But I tried out blogging at first.
Hmm.
I didn't like that. Um, and then I learned about the ability to build a course and to put it all together. So I think that the benefit of this particular way is that you, especially if you're doing it with the community, you have some side by side with other people who are doing it too.
Hmm.
And the thing that I love about this is that it's built for layering in slowly, and it's built for women who have very full lives, who need something realistic and achievable that's not going to completely overwhelm them and just flop, that's built on biblical values and priorities, so that you're not running into hustle culture mentality or just trying to focus on being as efficient as you can at the expense of your relationships in your home and your health and your time with the Lord. Like, I think it's good to learn the nuance of where are you at in your life? Do you have a bunch of small children? Well, your cleanliness standards probably just need to be a little bit different than a woman with a bunch of older kids,
Hmm.
Like but I think that those nuances can't be it's just it's very difficult you can't layer all that in. You can't package all that into a YouTube video. You can't
No.
do that in a blog post. So I really think that I got very excited about this method because you can give them one in order and you layer over time. You work on this and you master it at least to some extent, and then you layer on another that connects to this, and then you layer on another. You're building a house
Hmm.
essentially, slowly. So, and in a way that is, um, yeah, based on biblical and personal values. So I think that that's just a helpful way to go personally. I wish
Hmm.
I would have had it several years ago. That would have been really
Oh,
helpful.
sure. Yeah. So maybe if I was phrasing it, like taking what you've said and summarizing to a certain extent,
You're good at that, babe.
people take courses because they want to get really good at something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is not something you learn at college. You know,
No.
people have taken a lot of courses. That there's this, running joke that I see online all the time. Like, I can definitely calculate the angle of every part of that triangle, but I cannot balance my checkbook because that's what you learned in school. A lot of
Ugh, yes.
that's impractical things that you're not
Yeah.
actually using in your life a lot of times. But the principle of being able to take a course to really learn something and get good at it is still the same. Like, adults can take courses at community college in photography, graphic design. There's all these things you can go take a course on to get really good at. And that principle is good and correct. So you've made a course to help
Yeah.
women who want to be good at managing their homes and making warm, fruitful homes have something they can go to
Mm-hmm.
and learn how to do those things.
No more
Uh,
guesswork.
no more guesswork. Not saying that every, corner of the universe is covered
No.
in the course, but like you say, there's a lot of layers that you've put into it to
Mm-hmm.
help women build into the kind of home that they want to have and that they see reflected maybe in scripture, or that they've, dreamed about but don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to the bigger question of how to use in general a lot of tools like this wisely, that's a wise use.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to a local community college and take a course and expect that to replace your church fellowship and discipleship. That would be silly.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing here. You shouldn't expect that, but you should be having a very high expectation of how much you can learn from the information that's being presented, the information being made available.
Yeah. And I will say, yeah, to what you just said a second ago, I'm not saying it covers everything possible. It's not perfect. It's not, but it is very thoughtfully made.
Hmm.
And it is These are
You
the
put a lot of thought into it.
very things that, like, made things click for me and,
Hmm.
yeah, made it possible to run a home
Yeah.
with a bunch of little kids.
And the bigger principle, this is something that I think anyone who wants to learn anything can use. Getting back to like the big overarching question, how do you
Mhm.
use the internet? How do you use the connectivity
Mhm.
of our current society well? Like this is one of the ways, this is how we see it being beneficial. Like I
Mhm.
talked about earlier, you can do a deep dive on any subject. If you want to be a better mom, here's some fantastic resources for you. If you want to run your finances better, you can get online and learn a whole bunch of stuff. That
Mhm.
using it for absorbing information for you to use in your life to make your life better. It's a great use of all the information that's available at
Mhm.
our fingertips. And you've tried to make information to moms available at their fingertips. Like you very much can
You don't have to
have a
leave your
warm
home.
home. You can do it from the comfort of your house. You
Mhm.
very much can have a, a well ordered, warm home. It just takes time and energy and effort to grow towards that and someone to coach you along the way to
Mhm.
do it. And that's what you've tried to provide. And so
Mhm.
that very much fits into the category of good uses of connectivity.
Yeah, and I think that there are so many women like me who, like you were talking about college earlier and going to a college or a university to take a course. Like our culture today is just very, very focused on career.
Hmm.
And that was just like the next right thing to do. Everybody goes to high school, then you go to college, and then you go to career and you pursue the highest possible thing. And that was just kind of the normal thing for our generation, I feel like. I don't know
Hmm.
if that's similar now to upcoming similar age kids, but at the time, that was just the next best thing. So now I think there's a lot of women who are floundering, who really want to be in the home but they just you're not I was my mom is wonderful. My parents are great. I don't we were just outside playing a lot. I mean, this is I think
Hmm.
that's just in general that generation, it just wasn't very I think from what I've heard from some older women after the Industrial Revolution, those skills were just lost. Like there's
Homemaking.
homemaking, like there was one woman that I spoke to who said her mom, I think it was her mom, did not know what to pass on because things were changing so rapidly. So the
Mm.
last thing that she taught her daughter when she got engaged was how to wring a chicken's neck. She was like, well, if I've not taught you these other things, you at least need to know how to wring a chicken's neck. And so she taught her how to wring a chicken's neck and before she went off and got married. But like even then, like women were struggling to know like what are these skills actually matter anymore. And so things have just been lost. And I think after generations of that happening, homes are waking up to realizing the value of, wait, no, we need these things. We need to be,
Hmm.
we need these skills. People I think are seeing the pains of like family separation and not being together. And like I think people are coming back to the home in a way. Just seems that way. Do you think so?
Yeah. Excuse me. I hope that there's I think in a lot of the circles we run in, there is a course correction happening of
Mm-hmm.
realizing the value that scripture places on marriage and family. And there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, our culture has just done what's right in our own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And, started raising sons and daughters with other primary priorities that, yeah, marriage and family is on that list of possible priorities and outcomes, but it's just one of many,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Equal.
it should be the primary one. Like
Mm-hmm.
we should be raising our sons and daughters to be husbands, wives, fathers, mothers,
Mm-hmm.
and being good at those things and competent at those things. And being, if you're competent at those things, you're probably going to be competent at life in
Right.
general. Like the
Right.
rest kind of follows.
Yeah.
But when you have grown up and you've focused on academics and extracurriculars the whole time, and you get that.
It's backwards.
It's a little bit backwards in
Mhm.
some ways. Those things are good in of themselves and have
Totally.
their own place,
Yeah.
but what's primary? And if you have a 23-year-old that is completely unprepared for marriage because they've not been taught those things, and like something's gone wrong
Yeah.
along the way.
I mean, in my 20s, I was eating out of a box and a can is what I like to say
Hmm.
in my one bedroom apartment, and it was a disaster all the time. So like, yeah, I think when you're not prepared for life and suddenly you have a job and you've got a family and you don't know how to manage it all, I just think there's a lot of women who are struggling there. So
And it's a blessing to be able to say, I have something that can help you.
yeah,
And
save you some of the time and the tears.
yeah, because a lot of times if you're figuring out something for yourself, it's going to take you 10 times as long.
Yeah,
Learn from someone else
right.
if you can.
And this is a way.
Yeah.
A way.
It's a way, along with your church community
Yeah,
that you're a part of.
definitely. That's good, babe.
Yeah. So anything else?
I don't think so. That's
Cool.
all I got.
Well, we hope that that's been helpful and that you are able to use a lot of what's been presented to you with wisdom. And we'll look forward to talking to you guys next time.
Thanks so much for being here today.